Welcome again. I'm Randy Cross, and this is Unsafe Spaces, Season 2, Episode 8. I've got a fun show for you today. It's got a little bit of sports. It's got a little bit of politics. A little bit of everything, actually. We're going to be joined today by Antonio Sabato Jr. If that name sounds familiar, he's a former male model. He's a former actor. And he's currently running in the 26th Congressional District in California, down around the Ventura area. He's running for Congress, and he's going to be with us in a little bit. And in case you're not familiar with him, you might have caught a little bit of what he did recently on The View. Here's a clip.
The thing that is difficult for me to understand. We've talked about your family having to hide their identity during the Holocaust in Czechoslovakia, and we've talked about the fact that you came here at 12 years old from Italy, speaking no English, and this country embraced you. Mm-hmm. You call yourself an immigrant, but you're in favor of the wall being built, being paid for by the American people, and keeping other immigrants out of the country, much like yourself.
Well, the way I see it, I want the American people to be taken care of first. I don't want the American people to take care of everybody else's problems.
But if they felt that way when your family was coming over here,
well, I came here legally, and we had to wait in line, and we had to struggle and save a lot of money. And so there's people like that waiting in line.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they deserve their chance.
Yeah.
I think we need to legalize. I mean, this has to be reformed. Immigration has to be reformed.
So you are in support of immigration reform?
I think, listen, kids that were born in this country, as going back to the DACA situation, they need to be here. We're going to take care of them. Nobody's going to send them anywhere.
You say that, but it hasn't been settled.
But that's what I would push for.
Okay.
But at the same time, we need to protect our borders. So I think we need to build some sort of protection.
But Antonio, logically, people who are coming in, even legally or illegally, are flying in. They're not jumping over a wall.
Well, they're flying in.
It's a waste of money, isn't it? That's how I see it.
We are arresting at the border 1,000 people every single day. And there's probably a lot more coming in. So we can't allow that to happen. And they're bringing a lot of drugs or whatever. So we need to protect the American people. That's all I'm saying. And we need to build some sort of protection.
And you think this wall is going to do it?
Well, it's done it for Israel. Mexico's got a wall. Why can't we?
Well, it's a very big, expensive wall we're talking about. And it may not be cost effective, but that's another story.
Well, we spend $100 billion on immigration every year. The wall will cost probably less than $20 billion. So we would save a lot of money.
Okay.
All right. So we'll have Antonio Sabato Jr. coming up here in a little while. Sort of a current events section here, maybe / commentary of what's happened during the last week since the last podcast, and the whole idea of gun control and violence against students in our schools has really leapt into the country's consciousness, something that you can't help but think about. I was reminded the other day on the highway, I saw a sign that said 187 auto deaths in Georgia so far in 2018. I haven't seen anything like this. We're going to ban cars. And I know the analogy just sets people off and makes them mad. But so does something like this. So does the deaths of these 17 kids and teachers down in Florida, that it was so preventable. It's getting ridiculous how preventable that was, because of the sheriff's department, because of the FBI, because of everything else that was ignored. And the emphasis has been on a lot of things. And no, this is not the new NRA logo. Guns, by the way, are inanimate objects. Guns are like this microphone. Guns are like my laptop. It's what you do with them that brings up issues and gets things going crazy. And you want to talk about something that we don't talk enough about, and it goes in and out of our view. How about the opioid crisis in America? And we've talked about that a few times here on Unsafe Spaces. 64,000 in 2016. They haven't released a number from 2017 yet. That's how efficient our government is. It takes them more than a quarter to figure this out. But that's 175 deaths a day, 64,000. 175. Where's the outrage there? Where's the outrage when you look at these 12 states? They have more painkiller prescriptions than they have people. Michigan's in there. Ohio is in there. Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana. I mean, these are large states, more prescriptions than people. And there's plenty of maps and whatnot to look at when it comes to various studies and what kinds of opioids, what kinds of painkillers. The bottom line is they're way too accessible, way too accessible. I know on these maps, Georgia in the lower right there, just above Florida, for those of you that are geographically challenged, Georgia, as far as a nexus point, is gigantic in the whole opioid crisis and the amount of drugs that moves through this state. We've got to find out something to do about this. Now, I've talked to Jamie Dukes with Drip Fusion. I've talked to a lot of various people here on this podcast about this particular issue, and we'll talk about this with Antonio Sabato Jr. also, because this is one of the issues that's extremely close to his heart.
Well, U.S. President Donald Trump says this can be the generation to end the country's opioid epidemic. On Thursday, he declared the opioid crisis a public health emergency. In this neighborhood on the outskirts of Atlanta in America's South, a dark sorrow shared by two families. At 6:09 a.m. on May 26, paramedics called to this house. Dustin Manning was found dead. Less than an hour later, 800 meters that way, the same situation. Joe Abraham found dead on the floor. Two teenagers, childhood friends, both victims of the opioid crisis.
Yeah, and this community is Lawrenceville, Georgia, just north of here in Alpharetta. And this is something that's not new. I mean, my son is 27 years old. He's had friends that died because of this opioid crisis. My daughter, my youngest daughter, had friends that have OD'd from heroin while they were in college. I mean, this is something that has been around for a long time, and no one does squat about it. Nothing. And that's got to come to a screaming halt, like now. All right, let's shift gears here and go into the interview section of the podcast. And I'm going to be joined by Antonio Sabato Jr., who is running for Congress in the 26th District out in California. He's a former male model. He's a former actor, entrepreneur, father, a lot of titles, and he'd like to add congressman to that list. And we're joined right now, as promised, by Antonio Sabato Jr., actor, model, now Republican candidate in the 26th Congressional District around the Ventura, California area. Antonio, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The first question I guess I have when it comes to this, as it relates to, your experiences, why in the hell would you want to do this? Why get into politics? I guess it's the very same thing a guy like Donald Trump got asked a lot a couple of years ago, but why expose yourself and your family to this?
Because my country means everything to me, and I think it's time for me to do something back and give back to my country that has given me so much. And it's our job. It's our job to make sure that the country runs smooth. I think, I'm old-fashioned. I believe that each individual, especially American citizens, should give back, and this is my time. With the experience that I've had, which is different than a politician, in the private sector, with the businesses I've had, and the career as an actor, and just as an immigrant coming from Italy, moving to this country, I really love this country, and I think more than ever we need to have less politicians and more American citizens that are willing to use common sense and what's best for their community. There's nobody that knows more about the community that I live in than myself, and I'm willing to do everything I can to make sure that my people are taken care of. And my District 26, Ventura County, deserves a better individual that is willing to talk to the people, to allow himself to work extremely hard. And that's what I'm doing already, even though I'm not in office yet. But my goal is to make sure that everyone in my county is taken care of, and they need a better representation, and that's what I'm willing to do.
Yeah, looking at the demographics of the congressional 26th, I mean, it's about equal parts, white and Latino, and then a little bit of everything else. Is it a fairly agricultural? I know I'm from the Valley. I grew up in Tarzana, so I'm very familiar with Camarillo and Thousand Oaks and Simi Valley and Ventura and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's got beautiful farms. I have my friends, the farmers, are working extremely hard, and they're dealing with all these regulations, and it's hard for them to keep their farms going. And we need to do something about it. We need to do something about it to help them out. We need to do something more for the Latinos that are being used by the Democratic Party for their individual interest. And that's wrong, how they use the Latino votes for them, and all these broken promises for so many years. And the Latino community is not being helped, especially the one that I have in Oxnard that I care so much for. So there's a lot of issues, from really pro police and pro regulate, low regulations, and helping my farmers and making sure that the community is really well taken care of, and people want to move here and they want to open up shop. California is very much against pro business of any kind, and we need to help California grow. And this country has grown from small business, and we don't have much in California anymore. Over 1 million workers and business owners have left California in the last 10 years because of regulations and because of what the Democratic Party, the liberal Democratic Party, or the socialist liberal Democratic Party has done for California. It's incredible how they ruined cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and so on. And we need to use common sense. We need to start bringing regulations lower and help the American people, and not spend $26 billion every single year on immigration in California alone. That's, we should be doing more for the veterans. We should be doing more for homelessness, which is the number one. I mean, we're number one in California as far as homelessness.
Mm-hmm.
The opioid epidemic is this epidemic on, addiction in general that I've been very much involved and I'm very passionate about, that we need to do more about. And we need to help people that are on the streets. Our American citizens are dying, and this government and both parties always argue back and forth. I mean, we got to help the American people, and we got to do whatever it takes to do so. So I believe that bringing pro-business, making the county successful economically, I think it gives a chance for small business to succeed, to hire people, lower regulations, and make sure that you're more comfortable. Your hands are not tied every single day to help your workers and this and that. So there's a lot of work to be done, and I think that I'm the right guy for it. I have a lot of energy, and I'm going to make this happen because I'm the opposite of every politician who has been trying, let's say, to help California, but in a way they've really made it a lot worse. And we got to help the American people. Well,
when it comes to Congress, when it comes to these elections every 2 years, aren't politicians at this point, they're basically professional office runners. That's right. Pretty much all they really do. It's interesting when you originally mentioned your reasons for getting into politics. That was the founding fathers' idea, was you had people that dabbled in politics and they went back to real business and real life. Nowadays, it's a career. It was never intended to be a career.
No, it's just crazy. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And the thing is that, when I talk to people and I'm asked the same question, why am I doing this? I'm doing it for them. My campaign has never been about me. It's about the American people. And I think we need to take a step into the right direction by hiring, by voting, because you're hiring these people to take care of your life, to make sure that they're passing policies and they're going back to Washington every week to make things happen for you. And these politicians, Miss Julia Browley, who's been the congresswoman here in Ventura County, she hasn't done anything in 6 years. As a matter of fact, she's done more to endanger our communities by policies, by pushing for policies, building policies like AB 109 and Prop 47 and 57. These are things that were created by Julia Brownlee, endanger our community. Prisoner early release is really making our county not as safe as it used to. We need to step up. We need to really help the American people. And like you mentioned, politicians should be working for the American people, not the other way around. They're supposed to talk to the people every single day, find out what their needs, what their issues, what the problems, and we need to encounter those and make sure that they don't happen anymore. And I'm that guy. I work with the people. I work face-to-face, door-to-door. My grassroots campaign is very much that campaign that you get in front of people and you ask, what do you need? What can I do for you? And, we did a poll, and the biggest issue here is immigration. Then there's regulation. Then, those are the things that people care about. And can we do more for the veterans? So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. And in 2 years, once I get elected, I need to get to work so fast because time goes by. And then you got to, you're running a new campaign right away. So there's a lot to be done. I know how the game works, but I'm approaching it in a different way. And I'm so pleased to have this backing from all over the country. Everybody, not only from my community, but everywhere else, are helping me out and supporting my campaign. It's important. I think this midterm election is going to be huge for the Republican Party, and especially for me in California. We're gonna make our county red again.
Yeah, I'd love to get your thoughts on something. At the beginning of the podcast, I ran a clip, a part of your appearance on The View, the TV show with the lovely Joy Behar and company, and which you did a great job, by the way, sort of informing them a little bit of the immigration issue. But it really reminded me of one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, and I've been a fan of yours from a standpoint of my son-in-law went through the process. He was of German and Canadian citizenship, wanted to become an American citizen, had to go through the process, had to go through the classes, had to go through the attorneys, do all that stuff the way it's supposed to be done. He got in line and took his turn like you and your family did. When you propose that there are immigration reforms and tweaks to the system, how badly does this system need to be tweaked?
Oh, it's got to be done from scratch. It's got to be redone completely. It's such a broken system, how they do things, and how they allowed this to happen, and been taken to this point. We have an open border. We have an open border. Just pretty much anybody can come in to a certain degree, right? And it happens every single day. And they're coming in every single day, and they're taking care of them. They're being taken care of by the American people, and it's just so unfair that the American people have to pay for individuals that are coming here and using our country and using our great laws. I got to tell you, we got at some point we got to close this border and we got to take care of the American people. We cannot allow this to happen. A country is not a country without a border, and a country is not a country without the American people who have been taken care. They need to be taken care of first. And the Democratic Party, how they use this immigration for their own benefits, to get rich and richer, and for voting fraud, which is happening in California. People are voting that are not even alive. They've been dead for such a long time. We need to watch out for that. They cannot keep winning illegally like this all the time, these elections, and ruining the country. One thing is you get elected, you get the job done, you help California, and California is successful and all that. But it's not that case. It's actually the opposite. They get elected, and since the Democratic Party has been running California, they've been running it into the ocean. And yeah, sure, you have companies like eBay and Google and Facebook and San Francisco. Everybody's happy. They're creating a lot of jobs. But what about the rest of the state? How come we're number one in homelessness? How come our education system in California is failing our children? How come we're not doing enough in that department? And how come we're not doing enough for people that are coming here illegally, and we're not stopping this, and we're paying this ridiculous amount of money every single year, and this is taxpayer money. So we need to really reevaluate everything, and immigration has to be reformed from scratch.
Well, another issue close to my heart, and you mentioned it earlier, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it, is the whole thing with the opioid crisis, that there's always a story du jour that comes up. Gun control is the last couple of weeks because of the tragedy in Parkland, Florida has been huge in the headlines. Opioid crisis in 2016, we had 64,000 people dying of overdoses. That's 175 a day. And this issue sort of comes in and out of people's consciousness, but how do we keep this in front of people so we can actually deal with it effectively?
Well, I started a program that's called True Hope Calling. It's a 24-hour program you can call truehopecalling.com. It gives a chance to anybody to get in treatment as soon as possible, whether you have insurance or not, nationwide. We need to start helping people. We need to start working together to understand that this is a national issue, that it's overwhelming the American people. We're allowing people to get medicated, to get addicted, and eventually die because of it. And we're not doing enough about it. We're not educating people about it. We have taken God away from our schools. We're taking family away from our families, and things are being separated. Everybody thinks that they can do this on their own. And I always, I'm very spiritual, and I believe this. You got to do this with God on your side. You got to be open to that. And that's how you break any type of addictions. And I'm very much, I know about addiction, and I fought it and I survived it. And addiction is a bad disease that doesn't just destroy your life, but it destroys the lives of your friends and your family. And it's devastating, and we got to do more. We got to take these kids and these people out of the streets, not only from opioids epidemic, but just addiction in general. And we're not doing enough. We finally have a president who's speaking out about addiction, who's putting funding into developing more help, and we have to work together as a country, state to state, to make sure that we can help as many people as we can, because we can't let them die on the streets. And it's all included in the homelessness. It's all included in that department. It's all included in not enough jobs. It's not included. It's included in having too many regulations. It's everything that this Democratic Party has done. Because I believe that they love the turmoil. They love people on the street. They love the fact that there's more help to us than we will get richer. And it's like selling the fake promises over and over again. And we got to stop that. We got to tackle the issues. We got to tackle them head on, and we got to make sure that people understand that we are honest, truthful. I certainly want to be a politician that's with honest answers. And just honest heart to begin with. So I'm looking forward to helping the American people. I'm really 24 hours a day I'm doing this.
All right. Hey, I want to wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for joining me. And again, it's hashtag Vote Antonio and voteantonio.com for people who want to get more information, correct?
Yes, correct. Thank you.
Fantastic. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. So just to back that up, again, it's hashtag Vote Antonio and voteantonio.com for more information about the run that Antonio Sabato Jr. is trying to make for the 26th Congressional District. All right, time now for a little Unsafe Spaces sports. Hey, sports-wise, so the 800-pound gorilla of the last couple of weeks was the Winter Olympics. And the Winter Olympics came to a spectacular kind of close. Wasn't as grandiose as the opening ceremonies, but they never are. But Pyeongchang extinguished the Olympic flame and danced off into the sunset. Those are some of the fireworks that went on. It was a fun show to watch. I know from a TV standpoint, it's mainly for the athletes. Honestly, there's literally a few thousand of them that can really enjoy it. I found it really interesting when you look at the medal tally of the countries that have done the best. In this last one, Norway, Germany, Canada, USA, everyone obsesses over the gold medals, the medal totals. Norway broke the U.S. record. I think it was in Vancouver for total medals at 39. Great for them, fantastic for them. Immediately, people in the U.S. wanted to know what was the reason that our medal count was so low. And they're going to probably spend millions of dollars trying to figure this out. I can save you millions of dollars. You know what? When you had to have it, you had to step up like the women's hockey team. They beat Canada in a shootout. That's how you get more medals. You don't fall down. You don't end up doing things at the worst possible time from a pressure standpoint. You deal with those pressure-packed situations like Miss Kim did in the snowboarding, in the half pipe. She did a fantastic job, got her gold medal. Everybody that stood up and did it the right way, that reacted well, even if you're Norwegian, you got your medal. It's not complicated. You're going to either define your moment or that moment is going to define you. Don't spend the extra millions. At least don't spend it on studying why you didn't get more medals. And don't tell people, well, we got a lot of fourths and fifths. Who cares? Seriously. I know the Olympics, they say, oh, it's about the experience. It's about being there, all that. Okay. Well, great. If that's it, why do we spend all this money training our athletes? If it's not about winning. Because really, honestly, if it's in sports and it's not about winning, why the hell do you do it? You know? Make any sense to anybody? Next sport up on the bucket list here, the NFL Combine, or as I've always referred to it as, and it's now become a fairly popular term, the Underwear Olympics. Why do I call it the Underwear Olympics? Check out the rest of these photos up here. All right? What are they wearing? Now they're wearing underwear or sausage suits or whatever you want to call these outfits. And it's got nothing to do with football. Let's be clear about that. You might see quarterbacks throw the ball and receivers catch the ball, but that's about the most football thing you'll see anybody doing. But there's a lot of video highlights to give for the Combine. Check this out. Yeah, you run your fastest, lift your hardest, jump your highest. Look at this. That's a 12-foot standing broad jump. You know how hard that is? Sign that guy. And so is maintaining the edge on a pass rush like that. So the NFL Scouting Combine will be coming up during the course of the week. You're going to see workouts on TV. You're going to see DBs go through drills, O-linemen and D-linemen go through drills. You're going to see some quarterbacks throw. You're going to see all receivers try to catch. There's a reason they say try to catch because not all of them can catch. But the Combine is coming your way this week. Another thing that's coming your way this week is more irrelevant NBA games. There isn't another major sport whose regular season is more, useless, more kind of clueless than the NBA. Now, there's about 22 games left, about 20 for most teams. It's a foregone conclusion. And people will say, no, the NBA really starts in the playoffs. Okay, you got the East, you got the West. Who's coming out of that? Who you got your money on? You think maybe in the West, Golden State might come into the finals? You think maybe LeBron James, and he's got his regular season look on his face right there, kind of meh. You think he and the Cavaliers might be in the finals again? What are we going to get, Golden West Cleveland for the fourth year in a row? You pretty much guaranteed. If it doesn't happen, it's a huge upset. And whichever one of those teams doesn't get in the final, they're going to be NBA champions. But hey, that's just me. It's like college basketball. I start watching college basketball when the tournament starts. That's the most compelling TV, I think, of this time of the year. That's fantastic. Now, another thing that's coming this time of the year, and I'll warn you up front, it's spring baseball. It's spring training. And you got the Grapefruit League and you got the Cactus League. But the Grapefruit League and the Cactus League, grapefruits in Florida, cactuses in Arizona. Get it? Yeah. But they've got one thing in common. They both have this effect on fans. It's, man, if you can watch spring training games, you're a better man than I am. Actually, you're a better man than this guy. But spring training is, it's a necessary evil. It's how baseball ramps up for their regular season, which is only, 162 games long. But I don't find baseball as a useless kind of a regular season like I do the NBA. Baseball has got a very compelling story every year in the regular season. So let's get spring training over with and let's get on with the regular season of baseball. Hey, this time of the year, the springtime, and I know wherever you are, it may be raining, it may be cold, heck, it may be snowing. But this is about springtime. And springtime to me is about two things, two events. It ain't the combine. It's not the NBA regular season, like I've just said. It's two events. It's the Final Four in college basketball, which is TV, in person, on tape, on paper. I don't care where you like to concentrate. They're in a better event going than the Final Four and that whole NCAA tournament. There is nothing scripted to it. Almost every year you'll see the brackets right here. The number one seed, the number one team. How often do they come out and at the end of the year are they the national champions? Not very often, to answer my own question. So the NCAA tournament, CBS and Turner broadcast it, do a fantastic job, and I love college basketball. I'm not going to apologize for it. I think it's fantastic, and I can't wait for the tournament to start. The other thing I can't wait for is going to happen the first week of April, right after the Monday where the NCAA will crown their basketball champ. We're going to start the Masters. And yes, that's a very politically incorrect title for a golf tournament because everybody gets butthurt over it. Well, you know what? Tough. Augusta, Georgia, beautiful part of the country. The Masters is the best golf tournament going. Better than the U.S. Open, better than the British Open, better than the PGA. There's not another tournament from a beauty standpoint that can touch the tournament that goes on at Augusta National Country Club down there in Augusta. It's visually the most beautiful. Nobody's even a close second. And usually competitively and closing-wise, when it comes to that Sunday round, it year in and year out doesn't disappoint. And last year, Sergio Garcia finally getting that Masters title, making that last great putt. I can't wait for that either. So my spring will be made, and mainly because of college basketball and the Masters in golf. All right, next up. It used to be called Butthurt, but right now it's the Wambulance. Yeah, this coming Sunday, you'll have to have that soundtrack, that babies crying soundtrack. Keep it handy, because I'll warn you right now, for the 90th time, Hollywood will turn into contortionists, and they'll spend the 90th Academy Awards, the Oscars, patting themselves on the back. And it's not so much just about recognizing accomplishments in the movie business. And here's all the Best Picture nominees, and I've seen a lot of these. Shape of Water, of all these, I thought was probably the best movie. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri will maybe win the most individual awards. Dunkirk was pretty amazing visually. It'll be interesting to see, but I'm tempted not to watch for a lot of reasons. But on top of the list of my reasons is I don't like being lectured to when I'm trying to be entertained. And when it comes to getting lectured to, nothing tops Hollywood. Because right now they're anti-everything. And I don't mean kind of everything. I mean everything. It's you don't want to be male. You don't want to be white. You don't want to be a police officer, any kind of law enforcement officer. It's going to be crazy. You're guaranteed to just get people going bananas during this process. And it makes it hard to watch. I ain't going to lie to you. It makes it almost impossible to watch. So my guess, Shape of Water. My guess, Francis Dorman, I'm sorry. Yeah, 3, 2, 1. They make it hard to watch, and my guess is Shape of Water is the best movie. Frances McDormand, best actress. There'll be a lot of people recognize. The exceptions will be the people that thank their agent, thank their producer, thank their family, thank the members of the Academy, and then just get the hell off the stage. You won't see much of that. All right, let's move on to the feel-good story of the week. In the feel-good story of the week, you heard Antonio Sabato Jr. Earlier in the podcast talking about the homeless problem in California, specifically in many of the major cities. We came across a story that is truly incredible. And it's something down in the downtown LA area, many metro areas there. They've come up with these parking meters. Now, they have a significant homeless problem. All right. Well, they figured out ways for people to donate. And here are actual parking meters that they don't double as donation spots. They are donation spots. Check out this video.
There's a new way to help the homeless in Pasadena. You can drop your donations into meters that are set up all over the city. KCAL 9's Adriana Weingold takes a look.
If you're heading to Pasadena, keep a lookout for these colorful meters. They look similar to parking meters, except these are far more friendly. They're actually donation stations for Pasadena's newest initiative to end homelessness.
There's still a lot to do. There's still almost 700 homeless persons here in Pasadena. It's way too many people, but resources are shrinking dramatically.
Despite shrinking resources, homelessness has been cut nearly in half in the city, a trend officials hope the meters will feed even more. The message is right there on the screen. Homes for the homeless, powered by change.
The most effective and the most compassionate way to deal with homeless in our community is to support homeless service agencies that are effective and responsible.
The mayor says 100% of donations will go to services designed to prevent or end homelessness, starting with permanent housing. He's encouraging the community to get involved and says he hopes more people will donate to the Real Change movement, knowing exactly where the money is going. A message echoed by residents and donors like Sam Alabrando.
So I like being able to give it to a place that's going to take care of them and give them opportunities as well, not just something for that day.
The meters accept change and credit cards. There's no limit to how much you can give, just any amount that makes you happy.
All right, so LA has now got meters you can donate for to the homeless. And I'll be right up front. I think this is a fantastic idea. This is an idea that should go national and should go national pretty dang quickly, because there's groups, no one deserves to be homeless. We have way too many homeless in our country, as much as we have. We have way too many veterans that are homeless. And in a country like this, that should never, ever happen. And I think if you take this kind of an idea, you can go a long ways towards mitigating some of that. Unfortunately, somewhere in the process, government gets involved. And anything government gets involved in, they screw up. Hey, thanks for joining us. Want to tell you how much we appreciate you joining us. Want to make note of something here real quick. Our producer, Andrew, Doyle, Drew, and Whitney are getting married this weekend down in Savannah, Georgia. Congratulations, guys. Best of luck to you. Enjoy. Have a great weekend. And we'll see all of you next week. Time now for a little Happy Trail.
Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds if we're together? Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails.